In the context of release planning, we've talked about setting objectives and key results and prioritizing those things and discussing those as a group, but we haven't yet got to the stage of describing what we're going to build, the features, the work we're going to do to actually build a real product. So how do you do that? Well, it will probably not be a surprise for you to learn that the way we do that is a collaborative discovery workshop. And there's a really great exercise you can do called user story mapping, which is described in this excellent book by Jeff Patton. And normally we would do a run through of this using an example that's very simple and illustrates the point, which is your morning routine. We can't do that as a collaborative activity today. I'm going to do my morning routine and illustrate the basic concepts. But the idea is you get a bunch of people in a room for a few days to do a user story mapping activity, and that will include your business stakeholders, if you have those, you, the product manager, the people who are going to build the thing, support, ops people, if those are around, and UX people, critically important as well. And that sounds like a lot of people. You don't want really more than 5-10 people in the room doing that, so you're going to have to narrow it down to a relatively small set. And then what you're going to do, as usual, is get a bunch of sticky notes and come up with ideas. So the structure looks like this. We're going to start with something we're trying to achieve, some outcome we're trying to achieve, which in this case is getting out of the door in the morning. So my morning routine is a bit different now because I'm remote, but if I was actually going to work, it would look something like this. I would start with alarm rings, and I'm pretty disciplined after many years of being a parent, so I actually get up when the alarm rings, which I feel pretty proud about, or would do if I was even remotely conscious while I was doing that. And then I'm going to go to the bathroom, so use bathroom, and that's going to include brushing teeth, put in contact lenses, and then I'm going to go downstairs and make coffee and make tea for my partner. And then I'm going to go and wake up the kids because they need to get up and start on their morning routine. And then I will pack my bag. And then I will go and catch the bus. So that's a high-level picture, but we'll typically want to drill down a bit more into this. So one thing that I've forgotten is when the alarm rings, I don't jump straight out of bed. What I'll do is I'll check my emails and read the news, which is the worst thing you can possibly do when you first get up because it makes you super anxious. My therapist tells me, don't check the news, don't read your emails before you get up. Do that after you've done the nice things, the self-care things from your morning routine, but old habits die hard, so there's that. And at this point, I would ask you all, what's different about your morning routine? And we capture different elements of different people's morning routines here. Some people might go and do a workout, so that might be part of people's morning routine, be doing a workout. People might do different things. This is the kind of bare minimum. Oh, I totally forgot, I'll take a shower. That happens normally before I put my contact lenses in. And I should probably mention getting dressed as well, because I do get dressed before I leave the house. Get dressed. So, as we're working in a group, we'll prompt each other and add the things that we've missed. So that will typically happen after I put in my contact lenses, but before I go and make tea and coffee. And so we can put in alternative things that different people do. We can go into more detail on some of these things. So alternatives, some people will put on makeup as part of their bathroom routine. So we can put alternatives and different things we do down the wall, and then we can group them. So these are all groupable into activities. And so there's one piece of this which is, I guess, your cleaning routine. So that's this stuff here. And then there's breakfast, eating breakfast. That's a bunch of stuff here. And then there's organising stuff here. And then there's, exercise. If exercise is a thing that you do. And so we can talk about the high-level activities and group things under those high-level activities. And so what we have here is kind of a backbone of our user story map with the activities and a kind of left to right narrative flow of the things we're doing as we do those activities. So this is a pretty good kind of narrative, but there's actually different kinds of morning routines that we'll do based on what outcome we're trying to achieve. So my morning routine at the weekend will look different from my morning routine on a work day because we're trying to achieve a different objective. And then one example of something which is quite different is if I'm in a rush because I've woken up late. So let's take that example. If the objective is just get out of the house as quickly as possible, I'm going to use a different colour for this. Get out of the house. Stat. I can put that objective on the left here, and I can move down all the things that don't meet that objective. So obviously the alarm will still ring. I'm not going to check my emails and read the news. I am going to use the bathroom, but I might skip some things. I've never actually, I have done this when I've been about to miss a plane, not taken a shower and just used deodorant. Don't tell anyone about that. So I might skip that. I still have to put on contact lenses and get dressed. I'm going to skip tea. Not going to bother waking up the kids. Definitely not going to work out. I still have to pack my bag and catch the bus. So what we can do here is once we've got our narrative, we can then start splitting out different objectives and organise those in kind of horizontal rows. And so what we've got here is still the backbone, still the same kind of categories of activities, but different objectives that we're meeting. And again, we can stack different alternatives for these things down the wall as well. And at the end of this, what you've got is a pretty good idea of the kind of tasks you're going to have to achieve in order to meet the objective, and an organisation for those things. So that's a very simple example of a user story map. Again, it's a collaborative activity. We couldn't show that today, but hopefully you get a sense of how that would be collaborative. You'd have a facilitator at the front and people will come up and move things around. That's a really important part of this activity. And at the end, you'd have a really good idea of all the different possible outcomes and how they fit together and fit into the backbone, the kind of high-level activities that we're doing, that you could then use to plan out a release. And again, you might choose just one objective for your very first iteration if you think that's about 1 month's worth of work, you'd want to think about, what can we fit in the next month if that's the planning horizon for your medium-term planning activity. And you're going to choose a set of objectives based on your available capacity and what you think you can do. And that's how you basically scope and prioritize, is by picking out those objectives and choosing which of them you're going to work on in the next 1, 2, 3 months based on those objectives that you set out in your OKRs.